Hi and welcome to my figure drawing video. Today I'm going to be talking about drawing in 5-minute poses. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So now I did a video of drawing some 2-minute poses. Now I'm going to go over drawing 5-minute poses. I'm only going to do two 5-minute poses this time around. If you want to know why the quick sketches, the 5 minutes, the short time span for these kinds of figure drawings, please watch the 2-minute figure drawing videos, so the introduction where I explain all these things. I'll have the link to that video in the description of this video. So now this time that we have a little bit more time, it still serves the same purpose as the 2 minutes, which is to have iteration, right? But we have a little bit more time, so we could actually finish a little bit more of the drawing this time around. So once we still apply all the things that we applied in 2-minute drawing, only now we have, again, a little bit more time, so we could actually start finishing things up, but still keeping the simplicity that is necessary so that we can not get caught up in all the little doohickeys and nuances and all this other stuff. So, all right, so without any further ado, here we go. 5-minute figure drawing. All right, so 5 minutes compared to 2 minutes, like we did in a previous video, it seems like an eternity. So as I did in the previous video, I have set up a timer on my phone, and so hopefully you're going to hear it go off. And so we're going to tackle a 5-minute pose. So with the 5-minute pose, we obviously have a lot more time. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more done on the drawing, but the idea is not to have a finished piece. That's not the point. The point is to study anatomy, lighting, different things, and we'll check ourselves after the pose, and hopefully we'll learn something new as we go. Okay, so I'm going to start the clock, and now, okay, so just like with the 2-minute, I will start with the head, and I think I already messed up. This is too big. This is much too big. So in the next drawing, I'm definitely going to have to make this smaller. I absolutely do not want a big drawing. The reason why I don't want a big drawing is because too much real estate, too much time is spent with the size. You want something small so that it can not only reduce the amount of details you want to put in, but you also want something small so you don't get so that it's easier to manage. It's easier to manage a smaller drawing than a big one. Okay, so now we've got a general gist, the general gesture of the lay-in of what we want, and now we're going to start adding a little bit of value. And again, this is one of those very complicated lighting schemes, and that was not, by the way, I think that was just somebody sending me a message on my phone. I'm sorry about that. I should have put it on on that the little moon thing. What's it called? Do not disturb. Too late now. I'll do that in the next pose. And so this is the general values. I'm going to go back. We've got 2 minutes, so this is now like a 2-minute pose. So I'm simplifying these shapes, trying to get these shapes to be generally where they need to be. No lumpy bumps. Here, what I'm doing is I'm trying to simplify the arm. So notice that that a lot of that arm is lost. So I'm not even going to touch it. By lost, I mean it's lost in shadow. This is also lost in shadow, so I'm not going to touch it. So what I'm trying to avoid is pinchiness, like the little pinches. I want everything to kind of flow from one body part to the other. Complex lighting scheme. He's got a gun. I'll just draw a basic shape for the gun here. Gesture of the fingers. Let's solidify this foot a little bit more. Just something that makes it feel a little bit more like a foot. Oh, I should be looking at the model. I just did that and I wasn't looking at the model. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the values and I'm going to lose a lot of this. So I'm simplifying. There is a secondary light source. I'm going to ignore it. And I'm going to only deal with one light source and not deal with both. Okay. Now I still have time, so I could come in and add a little bit more finesse here. Oops, that is something that I wouldn't want. So this. Okay. 5 minutes are up and we're done. Pencils down. So definitely got a lot more done here, and we have a little bit more of a composition, a little bit more of an idea as to what we want. I could even come back and just do this. Just to make it even pop it a little bit more. Okay, so much too big. It should have been about that big. We should have been working about that size instead of the size that we ended up working on. So time to move on to the next pose, and this is going to be our second drawing for this video, and we'll be done. This is an example of just me doing the figure drawing process. Now, one of the things that I am not talking about when I'm drawing the surface details is my knowledge of anatomy is already there. So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is I am putting kind of surface detail, even though I am thinking about it in a constructed way. I'm thinking about it in solid construction. See, like you could even tell right here that it's more boxy. I actually deliberately drew a line here and a line here. Like, see, you could actually see it right here. I drew it as a box so that I could have a light. This is the light plane, and this is the light side. This is the dark plane, and this is the light plane, the shadow plane, and the light plane. And I'm thinking about them in solid construction, solid boxy way, in a solid boxy way. Later on, I could come in with a little bit more time and really start clearly making these even more boxy, a little bit more defined. But in 5 minutes, I could only do so much. And actually, I have a friend who could do way more in 5 minutes than I can. His stuff looks much more finished and much more finessed. But one of the things that I'm trying to show you here is how to simplify a figure. So let's get started with this next one. So I've drawn a male, and now it's a female. She is in a very interesting pose. So let's start the timer now. Again, starting with the head, much smaller this time. Down here. Okay, so head, neck, shoulders. Here's the thrust, or the gesture of the body. This is much more straight. It kind of creates a nice little design shape here. The waist is in here somewhere. It's not super precise. I'm going to put this gesture here for the other leg. So now I got that. So and now that I have something to work with, I can add the thickness of her arm. This kind of abstract shape. Notice that I'm breaking this up into a little box for myself here. There is a body here. There's hips. The hips are kind of boxy. The thickness of the approximation of the thickness of the full leg. No pinchy pinches in the on the knees or elbows. We're not doing, right? It's all of a piece. Okay, and now let's add a little bit of value. And what I'm doing is I'm breaking this up into a more a little bit more boxy. So as if I'm breaking this into a boxy shape. That's what I'm doing here with this. Making this into a tube. Simplify it. It's a tube shape. I forgot the foot here. So it's a simplification of the values into. Okay. And you could even say that these are gonna be lost edges here, which means that anything that I do here in the light is where the detail will be. And I'm going to start defining these edges a little bit more. Here's a hard edge here. This is overlapping shape here. There's an overlapping shape here. This is coming down here. This is much more like this. This is a C curve. Very simple. Simplified C curve, smaller C curve, and a straight. So I'm using straights, C curves, and some S curves if I haven't done an S curve yet. Adjust the head so that it's a little bit more the correct size. Give it a direction. So this side is the light side. Let's kind of give it a little bit of depth here. Think about these things are three-dimensional. And let's do the foot. Okay, so C curve, straight. Let's give this foot some kind of foot shape. This is the knee. This side needs its own C curve, and it's bigger than the other C curve on that other side. Now go back and do a little bit more of the value here, a little bit more controlled. a little bit more descriptive. This is actually a cast shadow. And that's it. Oops. Using the wrong pencil. This is what I meant to do. I meant to make it darker. Okay, so that was it. So this is what I ended up with. I was able to take a little bit more time defining this a little bit more. Is it perfect? No, I think if I was to take a look at it and decide what I didn't do well, part of the issue that I see in my own drawing here is that I probably should have approached this a little bit. I should have pushed this more. I think the pose required a bigger push this way. And I think it would have been helped a lot if I pushed the pose more. And this is what happens sometimes when you when you're trying to be too careful, and you miss opportunities. If you're so I would have pushed it much more. I think I missed that opportunity here. I was trying to make it look pretty, and sometimes that sort of thing kind of messes up. Like I'm really thinking about this a little bit more. So when you finish a drawing, it's okay to go, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that, maybe I should have fixed this. And I think that that's exactly the point of doing 5 minutes and 2 minutes is to mess up. If you blow it, if you completely blow it, then you go, okay, well, if I was having done the drawing once and it only was 5 minutes, and it didn't take too long, and if you mess it up, it was only 5 minutes, you didn't spend hours on it, right? You can go back and make adjustments for yourself, make mental notes of how to approach things better. So next time I would have, like if I was doing 5 tens, I mean 10, yeah, it's 5 fives. So 5 5-minute poses. So this would have been only the second one. I would then go for the third one. I would go, what did I learn from the last one? How can I not do that thing again? So that in the next pose, I would definitely approach the drawing a little bit more, thinking about pushing the gesture even more, not being so precious about every line that I'm putting down, giving myself permission to be a little bit sloppier, so that I can better get the pose, you know. So that's the entire point of this figure drawing things, to iterate, to see what you could improve on the next one, not on the one that you just finished, but on the next one. Just move on, because the entire point of the short pose is that it only was short. It took you 5 minutes, so the next one will take you 5 more minutes, and then you will learn from that. Okay, so that's the entire point. So just so I'm going to keep doing a few more of these videos showing you how this sort of thing works. But so I'll be doing more 2s and I'll be doing more 5s, just so that you can see different problems that I face, different ideas that I get as I work through these things. And again, if you have any questions at all, if you're having any trouble of any kind, if you're looking at what I'm doing going, I don't know what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, what's a good exercise that I can do, blah, 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 like any kind of questions that you have based off of what you've seen, or just experiences that you've had in figure drawing yourself, then please just feel free to ask on the comments. I will be happy to answer you in a video or in the comments, whatever it is that would be best. And we'll just keep going, and I'll try my best to to give you more tips and be as useful as possible with these figure drawing tip videos. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. All right, bye.